First thing we want to do is thank our co-coach, right? If we have somebody coaching with us, it's so important to show that we are a team. Clap it up for your co-coach. If they don't clap, say it again. Let's really get that energy bubbling. It also really sets the tone that this is going to be a team class. Once warm-up is starting, it's time to turn the music up. We're looking for approximately 70%, 7 out of 10 for the warm-up. Make sure you tell people to spread out, find some space for themselves. If you're assigning station numbers, whether you're the demo coach or you're the only coach on the floor, for those cardio and hybrid days, we generally want to be pairing people of similar athletic abilities together at a station. If it is a resistance day, we're going to try to switch that and have the heavy lifters paired with the lighter lifters so that they don't have to be fighting over the same weight selections. For our green stars or our guests, first timers in class, we really want them to be having a very easy breezy experience. Generally, that means we're going to start them off at station number 1. If it is a pod-based workout or if you have multiple first timers, I recommend starting them at the beginning of the pod or sort of the back of the pod so they can see that rotation scheme as they're moving forward. You'll know also that we want to be assigning them with those veteran members who can help them with those rotations. Do make sure that you're not just watching them or letting them do the warm-up themselves. I want to be mentioning what muscles we're working on, getting ready for the workout. During that approximately 20-second transition, when they go to their station, if they do need a little extra time to get set up at that station, to pause the timer clock, just make sure everybody's ready to start and set up their workout for success. Super duper important that we ask them to introduce themselves to their partner. If I don't hear names, I'll usually call it out again on the mic and really enforce that we want to know who we're working out with, who we're going to be sweating with for the next 45 minutes. That's also the moment where you will repeat the timing and strategy of the workout, make it really clear what they're going to be doing, how many sets, what's the timing of that first set, and then set them on their way. And lastly, we bump that music back up to about an 80%, 8 out of 10 for the workout.
So class has started, warm-up's over, we are ready to go. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to go make sure that that green star knows where they are supposed to be, knows what exercise they're doing, and knows where they're going to go next. We always want to be a step ahead. We never want them to be confused. So giving them as much information in as condensed version as possible is what we're looking for. So like I said, we want to stay there and make sure they can get to their next station. Scan the room. You can't be everywhere at once. We need to pick where we're going very intentionally so we can decide where we are going to go next. First things first, safety. We want to make sure that there's no improper form in the room. So that's where we're going to look first. If there's something egregious, obviously we need to go there first to avoid injury. After that, we want to think about what station is going to need the most help. Do we have a barbell clean? Do we have a single leg pistol squat today on those suspension trainers? Do we have a reverse burpee? Where are you going to be needed that you can make the most impact? Room control. A confusing class is a bad class. I say it all the time. Don't leave any room for interpretation. You are in charge. They need to know that. They also need to know that you know what you're doing. You should know where everyone should be going next. Movement systems, we have racetrack, follow the leader, and we have pods. Where in those different workouts are the transitions tough? Follow the leader format, it's typically that 9-to-1, which is going to be your biggest problem. So you can either say that on the mic, or you can go over to station 9 before it's over and tell them to go to station 1. Racetrack is actually pretty easy. So they usually just end up back to that 1 from 12. And then pods, it's that water break. You need to make sure they're either adding 3, sliding over, or subtracting 6. I just like to go up and tell them where they're going because, like I said, we don't want to leave any room for interpretation. Know your members. I've been coaching some of these people for over 3 years, and I don't think they've ever gone to the correct station. So I know who those people are going to be before class, and I know that I'm going to have to find them, and that's okay.
Exactly right. Visual cues are so helpful for people. That's why all of the exercises are constantly up on the TVs, just cycling through. And your body is one of your biggest tools as a visual cue. So where you're standing when you're giving those one-on-one cues is going to be super important. Try to avoid standing next to or kitty corner to them. That's just going to require them to be craning their neck or not being able to see you as well as if you're in front of them. If it's a standing movement, you want to be standing up right in front of them. If they're doing push-ups, crunches, something on the floor, get down on their level. Make sure they can really see you, but also hear you, all right? So making sure you're nice and close to them. We also want to maintain urgency, right? We're here for a reason. We're here to deliver that world-class workout, and we only have 45 minutes to do it. So doing your scans, like Jeremy said, finding ways to assist and encourage your members. And then of course, being a teammate. So if you have that co-coach, make sure that you're operating as a unit. That starts all the way back in the intro when you are standing together at the front of the room, delivering that intro, and then all the way through to the end of class. So what does that mean? Spread out through the room. All right, make sure that you're sort of covering the areas, bringing that bubbly energy to all the corners of the room at the same time. Try not to ride the tail of your co-coach. So if you are clocking that they're giving somebody a correction over at station 2, maybe you don't need to go right over there next. You can head over to the opposite side of the room. It also helps members not to feel like they're being berated by the coaches and they just heard a correction, now they're getting something else or they're getting something reinforced. On the flip side of that is that we can back each other up. So if I'm trying to give a correction to a member or a note and it's just not really resonating or it's not clicking, I might go hit up my co-coach and say, hey, Jeremy, Sarah's over there at station 5. She's having trouble with keeping that flat back. Do you have any cues you maybe want to go offer to her? And then maybe they have a different relationship. Maybe he has some other cues to offer that just work better for that specific member. Oftentimes we are flying solo, but that doesn't mean the energy should be half as much. In fact, it should even be a little bit higher, right? Because you have to compensate. You're the only one bringing the energy to that class. So be confident in your position as a leader in the room, represent the team, hype everybody up, and just continue to bring that energy. Our hydration breaks, generally in the middle or a third of the way through, depending on what the workout is, reset the state and energy of the room. So as soon as that hydration break kicks off, lower the volume of the music, let it be known that something big is changing in the room, right? We have those station transitions, but if we're doing a pod transition or a halfway hydration break, those are sort of the bigger moments to reset. Bring the volume down, maybe down to like where you had it for the intro. Come over the mic. Tell people, remind people of the focus of the workout. Remind people of the transition. So this is a really big thing. The first thing we should be doing is telling people where they're going next. And like Jeremy said, in the racetrack, in the follow the leader, that's pretty self-explanatory. The pod-based workouts are where it gets a little bit more complex. Do we have a little script here? This would be something for a workout like Checkmate or Miami Nights, where you're sort of bringing people from a third pod that doesn't necessarily have a cadence of station numbers and taking them back to station 1. Be mindful of when you need to macro cue a transition. For example, all right, for pods 1 and 2, you guys are just going to add 3 to that number versus micro cue a transition. So I'm thinking of like the old version of Twofold. I'm thinking of Checkmate, those ones where you need to go right into the pod. Spartan was a little bit like this as well. Assign people those very specific numbers. Okay, so you, Sarah, John, you guys are going to station 7 during the transition. That's also a great thing to check in with your co-coach about before class starts. Maybe one of you wants to take pod 1, one of you wants to take pod 2, and number off your members that way. So have a plan in place for that. Again, some are more straightforward than others. And then, of course, scan the room. Make sure that nobody is confused. Little call out over the mic. If anybody needs some extra help, feel free to wave us down, all of that good stuff. And then we rinse and repeat. Pod 2, here we go. We bump the music up and we go on our way.
Back to class. Water break's over. Hydration break's done. What else are we looking for? First and foremost, we need to be engaging. And people have the option to go anywhere to work out, but they're choosing to come to your class. I personally take a lot of pride in that. I know somebody who's coming to F45. They're coming to take my class. I want them to have the best experience possible. It's okay. I want them to have fun. Here we go. So your energy, your experience, and your personality is what they come for. Charisma. Doesn't come naturally to all of us. So it takes time to build that, especially when you're newer. So getting comfortable with the members and having that relationship goes such a long way. We always want to be positive. We want to be talking positive about the workouts. We want to be talking positive about other members in the studio as a whole. And we just want everyone to feel as welcome as possible. Throw those high fives around. Make sure that members are high-fiving each other. It's just another way for you to get that touch point in and just show how F45 is team training. It's literally our motto. 2 different types of voices we can have. You have your coaching voice when you're one-on-one with somebody and when you have your mic voice. Everyone's voice is a little bit different. I know when I'm on the mic, I need to lower the register of my voice because sometimes I can get a little bit high-pitched, especially when I get excited. And we want to project from our diaphragm and change the tone of our voice. That goes back to things like our intro as well. You don't want to be monotone ever. You want to be changing it because it's much more engaging. during class. While the clock is red, the members aren't moving, they're resting, that is your best opportunity to coach. We don't want to take time working sets away from members. So during the red is our best time to get active with the members. You can have them pick those weights back up as long as they're not doing too much because we want them to be rested, but that's your best chance to make the most meaningful corrections. No drive-by coaching. We want to be staying there for 20 plus seconds. I like a full set, but sometimes 20 seconds is enough depending on the member. Make sure they do the correction and then compliment them on the chain. That is your 3-step process to having people want your corrections. We don't want to feel overbearing and we don't just want to give people corrections. We need to compliment them when they do something better. Recommend weights. We want to be giving them the best choice. That's for weight, box height, speed, intensity. You're the professional. We are there to guide them to have the best workout possible. You know what they should need. Give challenges. We want to make sure that form is great. If someone's perfect and you think that they're ready for something a little bit more advanced, give it to them. Add that pulse. Check their bike screen to make sure they're going fast enough. Give them a timer goal on there. There's a ton of things that we can look at. And then we also have those F45 TV highlight videos that you get every day. And then CSG plays, which is going to be linked in that next slide for you guys.
Now, if you have a full class, 36 people, you should be able to have a touch point with every single person at least 3 times throughout the class. And that's going to vary based on how many people are in your classes, based on what the type of class it is. We do want to make sure that people feel supported, right? It's that personal training in the group fitness environment. We also want to be mindful of injuries. So who has the injuries? Who needs modifications, and can we give them even before class starts or during those hydration breaks or before they get to the station so that they don't lose that working time when they're there and they're trying to flag you down like, hey, what should I do if my ankle's hurting? I can't do this lunge today. Pregnancy, right? That's a huge one for modifying. So be sure to go check out that heart pregnancy modification series as well. Use all of your techniques, right? We have visual, verbal, tactile, mental cues. These are going to work better for some people than others. Like Jeremy said, you know your members best. Take the time to really figure out what cues resonate most with them and build off of that experience. F45, functional 45. We have our 7 primal movements: hinge, squat, push, pull, twist, lunge, and gait. Be sure that we are understanding the why behind all of these movements. You have a lot of compound movements, you have a lot of unilateral movements, and just quite a lot of things happening. If you can look at one specific movement and categorize it into one of the 7 primal movements, that's going to be your key to unlocking easy modifications for people. So if that single leg deadlift is too difficult for somebody, what's the primal movement that we're focusing on, right? Could be single leg, you could work on balance. Could be hinge, you could do just that deadlift, or you could take it to the staggered stance. But if you can easily categorize the movements, it's going to be so much easier for you to modify for people. And of course, expand your knowledge, right? Continue to attend the continuing ed and look back at what we've done before. We have running plays, pull assessments that we did a couple weeks ago. And just to mention, all of these are building on each other. So if you did miss one of them, be sure to go back and take a look because we're just moving forward only, right?
Joey mentioned earlier, macro versus micro. Macro is when you are controlling the whole room, talking on the mic to everybody. And then micro is when you're dealing with one station or one person doing that one-on-one coaching or just interacting. It doesn't even have to be coaching. When we are doing a resistance or strength workout, we're looking for 20% max on the mic and 80% off the mic. So doing more of that one-on-one interacting, because on those resistance days, there is a little bit more coaching that has to be done just based on the amount of stations and the amount of weight that's on the floor. For the cardio days, it's not much more. It's 30% on, 70% off. They might need a little bit motivation, especially on those Wednesdays. We all know we want more people to come to Wednesdays. So the more motivating, the better. How many members are in class affect this as well. Is there 36 people in class? I'm going to need to be on the mic a little bit more. Versus if there's 5 people on class, I'm going to be able to do one-on-one just a little bit more. The question I like to ask myself is, what would I need right now if I were taking class? And that's what I'll try to bring to the table. What is the stimulus of the workout? Is it duo today where we have 4 stations and we can go a little bit heavier? Is it a cardio day where we're looking for consistent output? Let them know. They don't know these things. They don't have access to F45 TV like we do. So it's our job to spread that message. Good time to do that is during water breaks and before the workout during the warm up, like Joey mentioned as well. Your micro, Cues are going to be those 20 to 30-second interactions, fixing someone's form. Another version of this is jumping in on a set on those cardio days. You want to try to match their speed so they can do it at the same time as you. You can even challenge them by picking up the speed a little bit. So they're just trying to match your output. So you're challenging them at the same time. Both resistance and body weight movements. I feel as if sometimes the body weight movements get forgotten about because there's no weights, but there's still coaching to be done there. Maintaining the floor means we want to make sure that the floor is safe. So if something needs to be quickly rearranged, do it. We don't want anyone tripping over anything. Make sure that everything's good. We want room flow to be there. Maintaining the floor could also be letting people know over the mic on a day with 1 set and 3 laps. Hey guys, just a reminder, please put your weights back where you found them so the next person can find them, because we don't want people searching for weights in the middle of class.
What do we do when we have that question pop up in our head? Where do I go now? What do I do now? Let's talk about where the next play is going to be. First of all, what are the high priority stations? What are stations that could pose a possibility for injury for certain members, or difficulty in terms of getting the technique correctly, right? Those cleans, the technique in the clean, the snatch, those reverse burpees, if we have those on the floors, that's definitely going to be high on the list. Things that we don't see very often, right? Maybe it's the first time we're seeing a specific move, like we just saw that intro clean on the other day, or just infrequent mechanics, like those lateral and forward shoot through. People really struggle with those. Any stations that need spotting or assessment stations. So this is going to be really important, especially in our peak phase when we have those assessments on the floor, but important for any of those heavy lifting stations, just to be mindful. And then of course, new members. So we're keeping an eye on our guests the whole time, making sure they're not getting confused. We want to check in with them a few times throughout class. Yes, the hydration break is a good time for that, but also just while they're working out, without making them feel like they're being babysat or sort of just overcoached. We want them to feel independent but supported. Some of us, I know especially here in Manhattan, we deal with some tiny, tiny studio spaces, and I know everybody's dealing with different shapes and sizes, but the layouts aren't always perfect. Right? Sometimes it's supposed to be a racetrack and it ends up being more like a little pumpkin carving in a mouth, little zigzags, or something like that. So just be mindful of where those weird diagonal transitions might be, or you have to run across behind a column, around a pillar. It's those high traffic pivot points that might need to, a little extra pointer, like, hey, we're going this way. Keep an eye out for those as well.
Last but not least, we have your A1 cooldown. It's your time to show your personality to the members. It's how do you make the workout different? We want to make sure we're tailoring the stretches to the specific workouts. So if it was a crazy cardio day, the goals are going to be to get everyone's heart rate down, maybe work on the legs a little bit extra if there was a lot of plyo in there. So be intentional with the exercises and the stretches that you pick. It's a great time to shout people out. If you saw someone hit a new PR on a lift, hey, great job, Joey. You hit X weight today. It's just a great way to get people to feel good about the class. And it was your first class. I hope you had so much fun today. Make our announcements as well as invite everyone back. Just a reminder, tomorrow's workout is Miami Nights. We got an awesome hybrid day. Who am I going to see in the studio? You can even make them raise their hand, make them feel accountable to that. But the cool down is really your time to shine. It's a great way to interact with the members in a less formal format, since they're not working out, or they should be more relaxed. And it's how you get them to really love you and your classes.